The Shining, Stephen King. Plot summary. Jack Torrance is a struggling writer and a recovering alcoholic with a violent past. Once a promising teacher, he lost his job after a physical altercation with a student. Desperate to rebuild his life and provide for his family, Jack accepts a position as the winter caretaker of the Overlook Hotel, a grand but remote resort nestled deep in the mountains of Colorado. This job, which requires him to maintain the property during the off-season, seems like the perfect opportunity, offering solitude for his writing and a fresh start for his family. Jack moves into the Overlook with his wife, Wendy, and their 5-year-old son, Danny. While Wendy is supportive but cautious, Danny is different. He possesses an extraordinary psychic ability called the Shining, allowing him to perceive things others cannot. This includes visions of the past, future, and lingering spirits. Before leaving, the hotel's cook, Dick Halloran, recognizes Danny's gift, as he too has the Shining. He warns Danny about the hotel's dark history and tells him to avoid room 217 at all costs. However, as winter sets in and the family is completely isolated from the outside world, the Overlook's sinister presence begins to manifest, particularly through Jack, who becomes increasingly unstable. Key themes and story elements. 1. Danny's gift. The Shining. Danny is no ordinary child. His psychic abilities allow him to communicate telepathically, see into the past, and experience premonitions of danger. His Shining is what makes him uniquely attuned to the dark forces of the Overlook Hotel. From the moment he arrives, Danny is plagued by terrifying visions. He sees ghosts of past guests, horrific events that took place in the hotel, and cryptic messages like "redrum" that foreshadow terrible things to come. His gift makes him a target for the hotel, which seems to have a will of its own. 2. The Overlook Hotel, a living entity. Unlike ordinary haunted houses, the Overlook is more than just a collection of lingering spirits. It is alive in a way that defies logic. Over the decades, it has been the site of multiple murders, suicides, and dark rituals, all of which have left an imprint. Jack, as the new caretaker, gradually becomes its latest victim. At first, he is fascinated by the hotel's history and begins researching its past. However, as time passes, he starts experiencing disturbing dreams, hearing voices, and interacting with the ghosts that roam its halls. The hotel preys on his weaknesses, manipulating him into believing that his family is holding him back. 3. Jack Torrance's descent. The battle against inner demons. Jack Torrance is a deeply flawed but initially well-meaning man. He loves his family but struggles with his violent temper and a past marked by alcoholism. Although he has sworn off drinking, his inner turmoil remains unresolved. At the Overlook, Jack starts off determined to stay in control. But the hotel knows how to exploit his weaknesses. It whispers to him through the voices of past inhabitants, tempting him with a promise of success, power, and acceptance. Slowly, he becomes more distant, paranoid, and aggressive, shifting from a man seeking redemption to one consumed by rage. The more time he spends in the Overlook, the more Jack loses his grip on reality. His descent into madness is one of the novel's most terrifying aspects, watching a man who wants to do better gradually lose himself to the darkness around him. 4. Wendy, a mother's instincts and survival. Wendy Torrance is intelligent, resourceful, and deeply protective of Danny. She has stood by Jack through his struggles, hoping he can change, but as his behavior becomes more erratic, she is forced to face the truth. She becomes increasingly aware that something is deeply wrong, not just with Jack, but with the Overlook itself. Her role shifts from being a supportive wife to a mother in survival mode, determined to protect Danny at all costs. As the hotel tightens its grip on Jack, Wendy realizes she must make a difficult choice: remain loyal to her husband or do whatever it takes to save herself and her son. 5. The haunting of the Overlook. Ghosts or hallucinations. One of the most chilling aspects of The Shining is the ambiguous nature of the supernatural events. While Danny, due to his Shining, experiences terrifying visions, Jack's descent into madness raises the question: are the ghosts real, or is the Overlook simply feeding his delusions? Jack starts encountering former guests of the hotel, some from decades past. One of them, a ghostly bartender named Lloyd, becomes Jack's confidant, offering him drinks and convincing him that his family is against him. Another presence, Delbert Grady, the previous caretaker who murdered his family, appears and encourages Jack to correct Wendy and Danny. The hotel's power grows as Jack's sanity unravels. Danny, however, sees things for what they truly are. The ghosts that Jack willingly interacts with are the same monstrous entities that terrify his son. But while Danny tries to avoid them, Jack embraces them, allowing the Overlook's influence to consume him. 6. Isolation and cabin fever. A psychological nightmare. King masterfully uses isolation as a psychological weapon. Cut off from the outside world by heavy snow, the Torrance family is trapped in the Overlook for months with no access to help. The sheer loneliness of their situation creates tension, and as Jack spirals deeper into his own mind, the atmosphere grows increasingly claustrophobic. The novel explores the effects of cabin fever, showing how prolonged isolation can amplify paranoia and aggression. Jack's transformation is gradual but inevitable, as the pressures of being trapped with no escape push him closer to his breaking point. 7. The symbolism of Room 217. Room 217 is one of the most infamous locations in the Overlook Hotel. Although Halloran warns Danny never to enter, his curiosity gets the better of him. What he finds inside is beyond terrifying. The presence in Room 217 is one of the strongest entities in the hotel. It is a place where something horrific happened long ago, and whatever remains there is not at peace. Danny's encounter in this room cements the idea that the Overlook is more than just haunted. It is a malevolent force that actively seeks to harm. The horror of The Shining. What makes The Shining so terrifying is not just the ghosts or the supernatural elements. It's the slow, psychological breakdown of a man and the threat he poses to those he loves. The Overlook Hotel is a perfect storm of horror, blending paranormal hauntings, psychological torment, the fear of being trapped with someone dangerous, the fragility of the human mind under pressure. As the novel progresses, the tension builds to unbearable levels. Danny's visions become clearer, Wendy's fear intensifies, and Jack's transformation reaches a point of no return. The Overlook tightens its grip, setting the stage for a terrifying climax. Final thoughts. The Shining is not just a horror novel. It is a masterful exploration of addiction, family dynamics, and the darkness that lurks within us all. King's ability to blend supernatural horror with psychological realism makes it one of the most unsettling and compelling books ever written. Without revealing the ending, it is enough to say that what unfolds at the Overlook Hotel is both tragic and horrifying. The final confrontation is an unforgettable sequence of terror, desperation, and survival, one that cements The Shining as a classic of the horror genre.